You asked, while providing enough resources for survival might be necessary, is it sufficient to define the full meaning of life? Could other factors, like emotional connection, creativity, or self-actualization, play a role? Answer: I did not mean to imply there were no perception and response tangents that flow outside the direct lines associated with the central goal of coherence inherent in objective forms in nature. I was pointing out the vital, central, and necessary theme related to being persistent as an objective form over time, not the various behaviors that exist as this fitful movement toward greater coherence takes place through a process of discovery and firm embrace of the perception and responses required for a mature state of persistent objective being. You asked, does this principle apply solely to individual organisms, or can it be extended to larger systems like ecosystems or even societies? How do factors like cooperation and altruism fit in this framework? Answer: yes, it does apply on all scales when considering objective forms in the context of their local environments. It is an isomorphic nested architecture of self-similarity that changes expression based on environmental context. The architecture can be modeled as a wave-particle duality, where the current form is the particle and the shifting environmental influences is the wave function. You asked, if survival and maintaining coherence are paramount, could this potentially justify actions that harm others or the environment in the pursuit of self-preservation? Answer: constructive and destructive actions are measured relative to the necessities of persistent being in the context of an evolving environment. Ultimately, nature values and produces what could be considered wealth or abundance based on what contributes more persistence value than the cost of cultivating that value. Investment with greater return. We see this expressed in the way sexually reproducing biological organisms produce seeds that could potentially multiply the progeny, provided the environment is a fertile place to produce that multiplicative expression.
I appreciate your further elaboration on your perspective on the meaning of life. Here are some thoughts on your points. Perception and response. I understand your distinction between the central goal of coherence and the perception and response tangents. It aligns with the idea that organisms adapt and respond to their environment while maintaining their integrity. Scale and cooperation. Extending this principle to larger systems like ecosystems and societies is intriguing. Perhaps the nested architecture of self-similarity you describe reflects emergent properties where cooperation becomes advantageous for overall coherence. Ethics and value. Your view on constructive and destructive actions being relative to persistent being raises complex ethical questions. How do we balance individual survival with broader ecological and societal well-being? What constitutes wealth or abundance in different contexts? Further discussion. Your analogy of sexual reproduction and potential multiplication resonates with ideas of natural selection and evolution. Can this be extended to understanding human societies and values? How does your perspective account for diverse experiences and subjective notions of meaning? Overall, your ideas offer a unique lens through which to explore the meaning of life and understand the complex dynamics of interconnectedness within nature. By continuing to dialogue and learn from each other, we can delve deeper into these essential questions.